Celtic Renewables is making green chemicals from low-value waste products. With the world going green and consumers demanding products with less environmental impact, demand seems set to soar. But can the supply keep up? Today, we meet the man in charge of the supply chain. Welcome back to another edition of The Angel Nest, where real angel investors and entrepreneurs partner to build great companies. I'm David Hemingway. I'm a 5-time founder and now an active angel investor, and my mission here is to tell the stories that are powering innovation. We don't make or recommend investments at The Angel Nest, and this program is for informational purposes only. Mark Simmers is the founder and CEO of Celtic Renewables, and Mark Bamforth is one of his early and frequent investors. Welcome back, gentlemen, to talk today about how you can scale this amazing solution.
Great to be here, David. Thank you.
Thank you.
First, Mark Simmers, remind us of how Celtic Renewables is revolutionizing the production of what we've always needed petrochemicals to do.
Yeah, so what we've done, David, is we've adapted a proven industrial fermentation technology to develop a manufacturing process that converts low-value byproducts and waste from primary industries such as food and drink and agriculture. And we convert those wastes and residues into high-value green chemicals, acetone, butanol, and ethanol. These chemicals are used in processes and input ingredients to make things that we all use in our everyday lives. At the moment, the majority of those chemicals come from petrochemicals. And so at Celtic Renewables, we've got a vision where we can supply all of those chemicals required around the world, but purely coming from converting wastes and residues and defossilize that part of the chemical industry.
Just amazing. It's a pleasure to welcome Mike Hogg today. He's from 3R Biorecovery Limited. Mike's company is in charge of supplying the raw material for Celtic Renewables. And Mike joins us today from just outside of Edinburgh, Scotland. Welcome to the Angel Nest, Mike.
Hi there, David. Great to be here.
Mike, tell us how you partner with Celtic to help them produce green chemicals.
We've been with Celtic on this journey for a number of years now, since they initially set up, and we help them find raw materials for their process from the whiskey industry, from the potato industry, and run a fleet of trucks across the UK that can collect and deliver those materials into their facility at Grangemouth.
And as the world moves to net zero emissions, it seems like demand will be off the charts. I guess one thing investors are going to be concerned about is continuing supply, right? Is it possible to continue to meet the demand that Mark Simmers is talking about creating?
Absolutely. There's a huge volume of byproduct out there and waste in the industry. The whiskey industry in Scotland alone produces a huge quantity. For every litre of spirit that's produced, there's about 10 litres of pot ale that comes out the system and has to be disposed of at the moment. A lot of that goes to land just now, and ultimately there's a far more beneficial use to be had for that through something like Celtic's process.
And Mark Bamforth, I think investors are going to want to know if they should worry about the price of the products you use to make green chemicals increasing to the point where, it could disrupt your model. We all remember things that were very inexpensive when they were just being developed, but got to be very expensive once they became popular. Is that something that potential investors in Celtic should be concerned about?
Well, I think there are several elements that make up the cost of making these products. There's the raw material coming in. And as you just heard from Mike, there's an almost limitless supply of that. So we expect that most of these new plants that are built will be built in partnership in some way, whether it's a formal joint venture or just a contractual partnership with the producers of those residues. And so that will lock in the cost of those, and we won't see a big spike in the materials coming in. And then running the process, of course, there's the capital investment, but once that's been made, that's fixed, and then it's really the operating cost, which is typically the people and the energy used to run the process. And of course, energy can move a bit. On the people side, what we've really been doing so far has been developing the operating model to show how to do that efficiently. And part of that is using control systems and using machine learning to optimize the performance of the plant. So I feel that those elements are well understood, and we're refining all of those. And then, of course, on the output side, it's really getting the market price for these products. And these are premium priced compared to the market because they're coming from a sustainable source. So I think all the elements are in place that the costs can be controlled and managed, and the market pricing is favorable, meaning that there's a return to be made on each of these facilities that are built.
So, Mark Simmers, are you planning to locate your future plants near their supply posts? That seems brilliant to me.
Yeah, we're a sort of feedstock-driven deployment perspective, and a lot of the discussions we're having is with big distilleries or big food plants where they've got a large quantity of these byproducts or waste, and they're struggling to get rid of them. And so we can plug and play, we can pipe them across the fence into our facility and effectively create a win-win solution. We dispose of these products in a better way. We actually create a greater value extraction for those materials. So you mentioned about price point just now, but I think the opportunity by co-locating actually means that we can improve the commercials for the producers of these materials as well. So yeah, there's some very obvious and near-term opportunities to deploy the technology in that way.
Help me understand how big an opportunity Celtic is. It sounds like it's literally unlimited, but investors always learn to be skeptical of that.
Yeah, I mean, so we look at it from an addressable market perspective. If you look at the effect of the niche uses of acetone and butanol, market opportunity is somewhere between $3 and $4 billion a year in terms of revenue. Now that's only 4% of the market, but we could go after that and secure that. And for me, that's a niche to go after.
Mark, where do you see the next 2 or 3 plants?
Yeah, so we're concentrating in the first instance in developing larger scale plants in Scotland and Ireland, so near to home. We're in discussions with a major food ingredients business and a number of the main distillery companies globally to co-locate the plants next door to where they're producing the material at the moment. We've got a lot there. It's about picking the right one next year or two as we look to develop 3 or 4 plants in the next 5 years.
How about worldwide expansion? Do you think that would ever be a possibility someday?
Yeah, what we want to do is to move to more of a technology licensing model where we can work with partners across the world. I've already looked at international opportunities, so discussions with potential in Kentucky around the bourbon industry. There's a huge opportunity in the Ganges Basin in India where there are 30, 40 distilleries all having trouble disposing of their co-products. So yeah, the opportunities globally are I'm going to say almost unlimited, and that's why we think such a great proposition for investors and partners.
Mark, step back just a second and tell us about the origin of Celtic Renewables and the technology and how this whole concept came together.
So it was really the brain of our scientific founder, Professor Martin Tangney. He's been honoured by the Queen, or our royal family, with a OBE. Which is one of the honors in the British system, recognizing the innovation that he created. We took that kernel of a great idea and we've built our first plant. We've got a great team of over 60 people now, and that will continue to grow. So, yeah, I mean, it's such a simple idea of taking wastes and residues and making something the world needs. But often the simple ideas are sometimes the hardest to come by. And that's why when I first saw this, I thought, wow, this just makes sense. I want to be part of that.
Is there security in these chemicals in terms of market size? Is there a chance that somebody comes along and invents something that replaces acetone and butanol and ethanol?
No, I just don't think that's possible. I mean, you look at, the money that's poured into pharmaceuticals, for instance, to develop processes to make medicines. The big companies like AstraZeneca and others have spent tens of billions of dollars to develop processes. The thought of going back to drawing board and starting again for someone like them, whereas they can source our material, it's a no-brainer to come and get green acetone instead.
Now, Mark Bamforth, I want to ask you, are you Celtic's first U.S. investor?
I think there actually may have been some earlier angels who supported Mark when this technology was really still at the university and still being really established. I really came in when Mark was at the point of having shown the proof of concept that this technology worked and now was ready to scale and build a demonstrator plant, which is what Mark has described earlier, has come on stream and is now delivering samples of product to multiple clients.
And how soon do you think you can begin shipping chemicals on a regular basis?
Yeah, so David, we're going to be starting to ship products in the next few weeks, and during 2024, we'll continue to ramp that up so that we're supplying to multiple customers in tens of tons and then hundreds of tons of product this year.
Just amazing. You are contributing to a greener planet and creating a great business at the same time.
We certainly are, and we're delighted to be commercializing this and making the world a better place.
Mark Simmers, founder, CEO of Celtic Renewables. Mark Bamforth, one of his early and frequent investors. And Mike Hogg from 3R Bio Recovery Limited, a man who is in charge of the supply chain at the moment for Celtic Renewables. Thank you all so much for joining us today.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
You can find contact information for our guest today at our website, theangelnest.com, where you can also reach me if you know of a really interesting company or opportunity that we should talk about. Remember, we don't make or recommend investments at The Angel Nest, and this program is for informational purposes only. I'm David Hemingway. We produce The Angel Nest with help from David Newhoff and Charles de Montebello at CDM Studios at the Art Deco Film Center building just west of Times Square in New York. Thanks for listening, and here's hoping my fellow investors and the founders they support find their next great venture. So long until next time.